Okay, so today's podcast will be over technology. First off, I will start with this quote I found from uh, Katrina Trinko. She quotes, "Loneliness has the same impact on mortality as smoking 5 cigarettes a day and making it even more dangerous than obesity. That itself has so much value to it because I've noticed that someone who is studying to be a psychologist, we've become more dependent on technology since forever, and it's not good at all. Our face-to-face interactions have become very very low. I've noticed that things are starting to become more acceptable. When I was younger, certain things were never acceptable. Like being a loner was never acceptable. I mean, people did make fun of you for being a loner, but still, you were never supposed to be a loner. You were always supposed to interact with others. That's the whole point of having being out, being social. So today's question is technology making us less communicative? I would like to start with Atanu Roy. He did a study on social networking is making us less social. He says, apparently, this opportunity to remain in constant communication with a large number of people is making us more socialized. I would say it is the other way around. While technology offers greater connectivity among people and things than ever before, it is really making people less social or even antisocial. Proves my point about not being communicative with others. I'm here at Lone Star Tomball. Now, unless there are students who are just on their computers doing homework or playing games, you rarely see anybody interacting. I mean, you see a lot of people with groups, but there are other people who sometimes look over and it's like they want to be a part of the group, but don't want to join, don't want to feel like they're invading someone's space. And honestly, they just rather just jump on their phone and do that. And that's not good. It's really not. For this quote about loneliness to be true, that is significantly the same as smoking 15 cigarettes a day, that is unacceptable. He also, Atanu Roy also says, we are forgetting the value of face-to-face interactions to create more important and sustainable relationships. If we continue to be constantly plugged into the virtual world, then we will miss out all the wonderful things happening right before our eyes. This is more of an at-home thing. I know they say siblings should be close and they should talk more. Me and my sister do not talk that much. We really don't. We're more always on our phones in our rooms. I wouldn't even know if my sister was depressed because how technology has forced us to be more separate. She'll stay in her room on her phone for hours on end or until it's time for us to just knock out and go to sleep. And it's horrible because family face to face is more important than meeting someone outside for the first time face to face. Just imagine how you could save someone's life just by talking to them, not being on your phone. It's interesting how we're so quick to jump to a phone and message each other than to actually call each other. Such as, honestly, I grew up late 90s, early 2000s, and me and my cousins would always, all the time, we would play on our grandmother's phone, and it was the old phone. It wasn't the one before, I guess she got a wireless home phone. It was the one where you had the wire to it. And we would just have fun on that thing all day. We thought it was the coolest thing ever because it was just a phone. But we didn't really spend that much time messing with it because it was so simple. It was numbers. You dial a number, talk to someone. That's honestly better because you're not texting it and you don't have to feel like you have to be perfect over a phone call. People know who you are. Atanu Roy also goes on to say one of the most destructive illusions presented by social networking platforms is that they make people feel as though they are becoming more social, even though they are not. People define their social status based on how many Facebook friends they have or how many followers they have on Twitter. It does not matter if they even know these friends or followers in real life. This quote is more outdated a little bit. And I'm only defending it because it is outdated. We don't really care about Facebook friends and followers as much as we used to. Well, take that back. Instagram followers we do. I have noticed that there has been a switch from Facebook friends and Twitter followers to Instagram followers. And we can become famous off of Instagram. Before it was Vine, which was interesting. You know, somebody makes a video, puts themselves out there. It gave a lot of people careers. But now Instagram, if you have a lot of followers, basically be a model or something of that sort, you get all of this publicity, you know. Another study from David W. Johnson. He studied, can technology make us more human? His quote was, as technology advances, the issue arises as to whether technology will increase or decrease our humanity. Many children, young adults, and even adults are having fewer and fewer human interactions. While their technology interactions are increasing, social media is consuming more and more of people's time, decreasing the amount of time they spend in face-to-face interaction with others. Artificial intelligence is becoming more and more a reality. The line between human and robot is decreasing, and robots may soon replace humans in many settings. These are other advances in technology are increasing the likelihood of that human interaction may become less and less a part of a person's day. There is also the possibility of humans having artificial organs as well as technologically augmented sight, hearing, touch, and taste, thus becoming part human and part machine. Social media, in addition, can be used in ways that objectify and dehumanize others, resulting in such behaviors as cyberbullying. Thus, the question arises that as technology advances, will humans become less and less human? That quote is very difficult to answer. Yes, it is making us less human to actually use technology to replace our bodies. I'm a gamer, so I've played Call of Duty. In one game of their series, they did a game over this soldier losing his body parts. In doing so, the military had become so advanced that they were able to give him a robotic body. He became basically I guess you can say a cyborg. That's not good. We're meant to die. As scary as that may seem, we are. So to replace our organs and our body parts with technology is sad because no one wants to live forever. And even if we do live forever, I mean, you get to see, so you don't get to see just good parts. You get to see the negativity and more negativity and more negativity and more negativity. And technology was just supposed to be something to, I guess, help us get by, just make us a little bit more advanced. Now we're starting to defy death itself. Technology is starting to take over our everyday lives, and it is not okay. There's a commercial for Progressive with Flo. She's at this guy's house, and she's talking to him about how Progressive can keep you insured on everything, all your technology. And you see his son, he legit tells the the refrigerator, because if you notice how our refrigerators become more advanced as well, that we can check the weather, who called us, all that stuff. We can check it on our refrigerators now. He told the refrigerator to turn on TV. He brought in a drone. He told Alexa to play a song for him, and he had a VR headset on. He was no longer connected to reality itself. He was basically in this virtual world now where he just says something and technology does it for him. This is horrible. I know it's just supposed to be a joke and it's just supposed to be a commercial just to advertise Progressive. But if you notice from, let's say, back when I was younger, there was commercials about getting out and playing outside. Now there are commercials about technology and controlling your entire world through technology. It's shifted so drastically to where there's no point in even going outside. You can be in a virtual world now, meet up with your friends, talk to each other. You're no longer you now. You are this character you've created. Technology has made us, as my generation say it, fake. You are now a character you've created, and you're not you. A popular MTV show called Catfish. I don't know his last name, but his first name is Nev. He created Catfish because there were people out there who were just online making up stories about themselves, and they weren't who exactly. They were not who they told the person they were catfishing who they were supposed to be. So what he would do is he got a video crew. He got MTV sponsored him and gave him a show. He had his best friend, and they started getting emails from all sorts of people about being catfished, or they believe they're being catfished. And he'd go out and he'd help them find the person that they were talking to, and comes to find out a lot, almost an entire, well, not even almost, an entire season where people either trying to get money from someone or just straight not who they say they were. So you basically fell in love with this person and they weren't who they say they were, or they were so they weren't comfortable with their bodies, so they found pictures of some girl that they would be comfortable with talking to, and wouldn't believe that, the girl that they're talking to would ever want to date them. So what happened was they fell in love with this person, and then when you meet them finally, you were unsatisfied because you led me to believe that you were like this versus being like this. Technology has made us fake. On to another study by Eoin Wellen. He asked, do social media technologies make us more social? A quote in here that he has is an example from CNN. He said, take for example the recent uprising through the Middle East, and particularly in Iran. Sky News and CNN were quick off the mark, showing pictures of smartphone-carrying youths pouring into the streets of Tehran to protest about what they believe was a rigged election. Also, it was even dubbed the first Twitter revolution, as we were shown various tweets that protesters were using to coordinate their social activism. The reality is that Twitter played only a minor role in shaping this revolution. Iran's Green Movement lost much of its momentum in the months following the election, and it became clear that a Twitter-inspired revolution was little more than a pipe dream. Indeed, uprisings happened in the past without the aid of social media, a statement which the history of our own nation can certainly support. Nor was it the case that protesters were using these social technologies to strategically outwit sclerotic governments. In fact, the opposite is true. The people who got to those positions of power did so by being clever and seizing opportunities when they rise. They too can be quite swift in figuring out how to exploit social network technologies for their benefit. This is exactly what happened in the aftermath of Iranian uprising. The Iranian police set about tracking down the ringleaders of the protest campaign. They, along with all the people they were connected to, were all encouraged not to partake in any more activities hostile to the incumbent rulers. How could the authorities identify and dismantle the network of protesters so efficiently? No need to initiate the traditional methods of infiltrating the opposition party or developing a system of informers. All the information about who was connected to whom was publicity available on Facebook and Twitter, along with photos and other personal details useful to any regime wishing to discourage collective social action. As a management scientist, my own research has examined the impact of social media within organizations, and the work myself and my colleagues have done in this area suggests that our digital friends and our face-to-face friends coexist. So I'm gonna stop there. He's basically going on about how a protest was going on and it was very publicized over social media, and how social media can be a good thing, because if it wasn't for social media, we wouldn't be able to get our we wouldn't have not everybody would be able to have a voice, because unless you're a journalist, you really can't put stories out there about these kind of things and give your honest opinion, or even if they're true facts, you can't get them out there unless you work for unless you have something that needs to be said by the network itself, or you have something interesting or some crazy story. Technology isn't all bad. That's not what this podcast is about. It's about finding out whether technology is making us less communicative. In that, he did show how technology can help us in a lot of ways. But with everything good, there has to be some bad. And another researcher, Shalaba Chaudhry, I butchered her name, but she did a study. Is social media really making us less social? Yes, is my answer to that. Yes, but she quotes, "I use social media as a part of my service offering, so perhaps because I use it for others, I am not using it the way these people are. Perhaps I see it in a different light, but bear with me here. Social media has helped me to become more social, especially at bigger events. I am true a natural networker. Since the age of 17, attending weekly business networking event for my father's business, I have had to overcome the introverted lifestyle I once led. I am good in small groups, sometimes even a little funny and interactive, but put me in a room of my peers or business owners and I start to freeze. This gets worse if I don't know them. It's exponentially worse, to the point where I am checking the coffee machine still has coffee and going to the ladies to ensure I can calm the heck down." Then she's asked, where am I going with this? I now use social media to engage with people before events, especially the larger ones that I am attending. I also do this for clients so they can begin to get to know people who are coming. Creating a more secure social relationship with one another. How this helps me in terms of socializing with others is that I already know some parts about them. Perhaps I noticed they were doing something the day before, which I can pick up on in conversation and have a calmer chat about without feeling I have to burst in with the "so what do you do" game changer of conversations. I get where she's going with this. She's saying that technology isn't bad, but again, too much of a good thing isn't a good thing. I'm not saying that technology is going to destroy us as a people, but technology has, gotten out of hand. She's saying more of a way of helping her communicate with people that she doesn't really know. So she texts and send messages out that so she can get to know certain people in certain areas, and this way she has her background information already. That is just a different story from what I'm saying. I'm saying that technology has forced us to become more of loners. So I have an app on my phone. I have an iPhone. I don't remember the name of the app, but I know that it every Sunday it tells me how long I've used my phone for a whole week. I've made this past Sunday, I've actually had 4 hours and something minutes I've been on my phone for a whole week. There's 24 hours in a day, and for a whole week, a whole 7 days, I use my phone for 4 hours. I mean, there's really no excuse to anybody who says that I have important people to talk to, and I have this, I have that. Look, it's okay to use technology, but it's like eating your favorite food. You don't go to McDonald's every day to eat the same thing for the rest of your life. You will become obese and or have clogged arteries or have high blood pressure or have a stroke and die or all of it at the same time. Must eat it in ration. So McDonald's is good. Eat it once a week. Technology isn't bad. Just don't spend every day on it. Don't okay at home, sure. I mean, you should be outside anyway or doing homework, but at home, sure. But when you're in a public place like a school, as awkward as it may seem, talk to someone, Get to know somebody. You never know that what you tell somebody or you talking to someone may change, help, or make someone's day or life. And on top of that, you never know that the person you're ignoring by being on your phone could be your next business partner. There are so many. I can make a list of things you could do besides being on your phone, but until we interact with each other just for once without our phones, um, I had my friends before I did this podcast. I had my friends place their phones face down, and for 5 minutes, no matter whether we change subjects or whatever, we just talk to each other. They were able to do it for 5 minutes. Sad part is, as soon as 5 minutes were over with, they jumped back to their phones. The 5 minute test wasn't to see if we could stay off our phones for 5 minutes. It's to see if we can conversate for 5 minutes and say, oh, okay, I don't really need my phone. I can talk to you guys. And I know I sound like a hypocrite, but there was a young lady sitting across from us. I did want to invite her over, but I did not. I should have to see if she would want to take part in our test. Back to Shalaba Chaudhry. She suggests three ways that technology can help our social life and our professional life. One, have some simple rules. For example, no mobiles during dinner or no personal social networks during certain hours at work. Don't ban, but having your employee handbook and as suggestions to your team what is and isn't appropriate. Two, have tech-free times. Bliss, I promise you, sleep is actually much harder if you use a mobile device within 20 minutes of going to bed. So have your tech-free time before bed so you can get to sleep easily. Also, go out with people and turn your phone on to D&D. This means your setting can be mainly silent, but in settings allow certain numbers to call you, like your parents and your partner. 3. Don't feel you have to post everything to social media. Engage with others who are sharing their stories. This will help you to build better relationships with them and get conversational. I apologize. Conversational. Then host an offline gathering like Triple Date, which I now have with a group of friends. What do you think? Do you think social media is preventing us from being social? And that goes along with my question. Is technology making us less communicative? So you've heard from my opinion, my standpoint, also of 4 experts in the field. Last thoughts, last opinion. I'm not a hypocrite. I do use my phone a lot as well. I'm on Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, you name it, I do it. But Facebook is only for keep contact with some friends. We share things to each other that we think are funny, so we don't have to try and memorize it so much to where we get it wrong every time. We just share it to each other. We comment, but they've been my friends since high school. We do make times to where we do go out with each other, whether it's to the mall, or movies, or out to eat. We still I don't want to say it like this, but do regular people things. But just some fruit for thought to consider. If a job interview was conducted through a phone, how many of us would have jobs? Thank you.